Hello and welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neal Howard. Thank you for joining us here today. In studio with us is Michael Karolchyk. He's the CEO of Spartacus Strategies, a health guru, sports analyst, and a contributor to DailySurge.com and ClashDaily.com. He opens, runs, and revamps gyms and fitness centers up and down the East Coast of the United States, and he's here today to talk with us about a phenomenon that's come to be known as fat acceptance or obesity acceptance. The United States is currently in what is being called by some an obesity epidemic, and our guest is here to talk about this epidemic and offer some strategies to address it. Welcome to the program, Michael Karolchyk.
Thanks for having me, Neal.
Thanks for joining us today. Now, you're the CEO of Spartacus Strategies. You're a fitness guru, sports analyst. Talk about this obesity acceptance. What exactly is fat acceptance?
Well, you know what, Neal? About 12 years ago, I was contacted by a writer for the Boston Globe, and she was writing an article about how Massachusetts was trying to pass, and they were ultimately successful making obesity a disability. Mm-hmm. There was this national movement to get obesity as a disability. And I, of course, gave my opinions on it, which were based on 20 years of treating obese people, of getting obese people to lose weight. I said, come on now. Obesity is a disability? No. Obesity, 99% of the time, is people eating too much and we're lazy.
Okay, so if they were disabled because they couldn't get out of bed or they couldn't climb stairs, but now they are, I guess it wasn't a disability. It was basically a lifestyle change. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, but here's the thing. Almost all the states allow disability to be collective. They actually have laws in many states now that you can't make your host stand because that hurts them. You have laws that you can't make your workers, stand for the floor many times for many hours. The laws are all getting...
Are you saying that these laws are just for people that are obese, or are they across the board? Say if someone's working at a fast food restaurant and he weighs, 150 pounds, and another guy weighs close to 4 or 350 or something like that, and he's big, obese guy, are both of these guys not allowed by state law to stand for a certain amount of time, or does this law just apply to the bigger guy?
Well, the laws are geared towards the obese because the obesity groups brought the law. So in theory, it's like the smokers. We all grew up, remember, when the smokers get breaks every 15 minutes. We're not allowed to take the breaks. You're not going to have much of a leg to stand on if you're a skinny guy saying you demand to have a chair. So you're going to take the baby with the bathwater, and these laws were set up for the obese. And more importantly, the Obamacare was passed. The first time insurance companies were not allowed to use your weight against you. That was one of my biggest things I came out with as I saw that this was growing. Here's the biggest problem right now. Almost every expert, every economist, and every health expert over obesity says we spend almost $400 billion a year, on obesity-related costs of the health department. It's a huge chunk of money every year. And here's the worst part, Neal. When I was given that stat 10 years ago, it was $180 billion. It doubled. It's going to double again because we're seeing all these young people who are fat with diabetes too get on sleep apnea machines, on medicines. We didn't see this. We were just seeing people getting fat and obese in the ages of 40 and 50. Now we're seeing these kids 10 onward. If your kid is 100 pounds overweight, you should be arrested because the facts of this are that people that suffer from malnutrition have less health issues than people who are obese. That's right. The obese kid is going to have way more medical bills and way more problems. We arrest the parents if the kids suffer from malnutrition. We shame the parents. Oh, my God, you didn't feed your kids? You despicable. Put their pictures on the paper. You have allowed it because you're weak, and that is a big problem.
Well, let's look at, if someone is weak, say in this era where we're seeing these kids who are obese, if they're weak, What is the cause of that weakness? Now, we were talking about something known as obesity acceptance, the psychological aspects of this obesity epidemic. What is it that's driving people to accept, as you say, obesity?
Couple things. Okay, the first is the lack of males in our elementary school system and at the home, and a key ingredient. Okay, which a lot of your audience will get upset by, but again, we're going to argue it in detail. Shame. Shame is a good thing. See, shame is what prevents a fat girl from eating 3 pieces of cake. Shame is what prevents a fat boy going to the buffet line a 4th time. There's shame. Don't make the kid feel bad. Oh, don't make him feel terrible. Johnny, have another hot dog. It's okay. Feel good.
So for the, as you say, the 99% of people that are obese, they're obese because they're taking in too much calories and not doing enough exercise. What about the 1% who cannot help their weight? I mean, there has to be some reason other than lack of shame, because if that's the case, there's a lot of acceptance going on across the board, not just with obesity.
But not just obesity. We're seeing it in all throughout the country where the political correctness is run amok. Okay, if you work out, you eat right, you're not going to be morbidly obese. Okay, it's pretty simple.
Now, do you believe though that all of a sudden people just became unable, whether it's due to laziness or whatever, just unable to control their caloric intake? Do you think that maybe what we're eating or how our food is being processed and presented to us has anything to do with it? We have a whole lot of other things on the report. It seems that what you're saying is that all of a sudden people became lazy, a lot lazier.
It wasn't all of a sudden. It was a gradual trick down. So here's the
then how have we psychologically been manipulated to accept something that before was not readily accepted? How has that come to be?
It's okay. So if you look at the child obesity numbers from the Center of Disease Control, no one's studied it more than me. This last generation, the millennial generation, has tripled the child morbid obesity rate in 20 years ago and double than 10 years ago. It's been a gradual flow to where we've now reached this point of this generation and the parents that raised them to produce these kids that have no responsibility. No other generation ever, in one shape or form, came close to supporting socialism. This generation, according to Rasmussen and Gallup polls, 55% of the kids in the millennial generation support socialism. It's also the
are you saying that this acceptance is all political?
I'm saying, let me finish, Neal. I'm making a correlation now. Because this generation, which did accept socialism, it's triple the morbid obesity rate of the 80s and double the morbid rates of the 90s. When I started analyzing, all we ever do when we have elections, which is really sad, is 88% of African Americans voted for Obama in 2012, 92% voted for him in 2008. All we do is look at race. I wanted to look at behavior. So what I started doing was tracking how do Democrats vote.
And again, I'm asking you, is the psychological phenomenon of obesity acceptance, is it due to political activism or the lack thereof?
Absolutely, and that's what I'm getting at. Okay. So if you look at it, maybe we shouldn't say that now blacks have almost triple the morbid obesity rate.
When people are massaging numbers, they make the numbers say whatever they need to say in order to support their opinion. I get that.
I'm on the border. I'm on the front lines of the war. Okay. So here's what I will tell you. Okay. The stats show that Mexicans and Hondurans have some of the highest obesity numbers, and they vote overwhelmingly liberal.
Then are you saying then that it has to do with the political activism or the lack thereof, and you're saying also that it has to do with race? Is that what you're saying?
This is what I'm getting at, Neal. If you believe in rugged individualism, and if you believe in the entrepreneur spirit, and you believe that you're responsible for your actions, that's usually conservative or libertarian. Wouldn't you agree? Okay, those are the people that are going to be.
But that is not the issue here. The issue has nothing. The issue here is what is the psychological reason or cause of fat acceptance, not whether libertarian, Democrat, Republican, Trump, Obama. If there is no medically psychological connection to obesity acceptance, then basically we can't have a conversation that is based in politics. We're trying to do medical things here, So, and you're a health guru. So let's talk about.
You can't remove, Neal, I hate to tell you, you can tell us to your doctor friends listening, you can't remove politics out of almost anything, okay? And the politics.
Sure you can. Sure you can.
Let me finish.
You can remove politics from anything.
Doctors are always trying to find something. My brother's got his PhD in pharmacology, and they're always trying to find, there's a cause and there's a medicine I can give it to. But what I'm trying to tell your audience right now is in the obesity war, there is also a phenomena created by entitlement. And the entitlement, and that's when you remove the shame, and that's when you and then bring in this acceptance where people, in the political correctness, you create this tsunami of obesity.
Okay, so
you have to look at all those things and peel the layers back.
Remove political correctness, because I personally don't think that you can be political and correct in the same sentence or statement anyway. So you remove political correctness, and that will address the obesity problem in children who feel that they're entitled to have no responsibility. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you remove the political correctness. First thing is you look at the parents who now tell their kids they're great, they're awesome, they're wonderful in every little thing that they do, inflate them with false self-esteem, and then on top of that.
So you address something that shall never be corrected, because we're talking about something that exists now. You can't go back and say, well, let's talk to the parents and see how they screwed it up. No, let's talk about how your company helps these kids who are obese not be obese anymore.
We can get to that later, but we first have to address the societal aspects. That's the key one.
We were going to address the societal aspects in another segment. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and end this today. Michael, thanks for joining us today. All right. You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neal Howard, at healthprofessionalradio.com.au. Listen in and download on SoundCloud.